You're tuned into the Growth Ceilings podcast, the show for builders, dreamers, and leaders ready to break limits and grow beyond what they thought possible.
Welcome to the Growth Ceilings podcast. I'm your host, Jim Lovelady, professional EOS implementer. EOS is the entrepreneurial operating system. This show is about real conversations with leaders who have pushed through challenges, uncovered new opportunities, and built stronger companies along the way. I'm thrilled to introduce my guest today, Melissa Dotson. She's president and owner of Rieke Interiors, a company known for innovation in workplace design, custom furniture manufacturing, and solutions that help teams work at their best. Melissa is an author, speaker, and personal development coach who believes in winning in the game of business by solving real problems for people. Her ideas span culture, performance, office design, leadership development, and the future of work. Her team created safe space products during the pandemic and launched ROI Edge, a tool that helps organizations understand what their people need to perform at a high level. Melissa, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So you often talk about winning in the game of business. What does that mean to you today, and how has that definition evolved over your career?
So I would say in the beginning, it was mostly about, okay, how do we win more customers? How do we get more sales? About the profitability. And that has really moved into the people side. So we're only as good as our people. And now that I have a very good executive team, middle management, we do a really good job at hiring, really good job at bringing our teams together, really trying to make them all be as personally fulfilled as they can in their role. We spend a lot of time at work. And when you can have all of those good pieces all together, the people, the personal fulfillment, the vision, the goals, I believe that you can win, and winning is fun.
You shared with me your team uses EOS. You've self-implemented EOS. One of the 6 components of a healthy business is the right people in the right seats. Talk a little bit about what you just said with recruiting for your business, getting the right people, identifying the right attributes, how they align with your core values. Tell us a little bit about what you've done there.
Yeah, so we actually have implemented also a software called Culture Index, which aligns 4 main personality traits that you have with the 4 main personality traits that are needed for a job. So we use that for hiring. We also use it for managing, especially when somebody's going into a new role. It's very, 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 very important if you can really get somebody in the right seat because, first of all, they're going to do well. Second of all, they're going to love their job. They're going to stay longer. They're going to be able to work longer hours or be more productive. It's definitely helped me out as well. So I started here 27 years ago as the CFO. If you looked at my culture index, they're like, what are you doing? And why are you an accountant? So now that I have a CFO in place and I no longer do accounting work and I get to work on the areas that actually fulfill me, I can work longer hours. I can have better vision. We've also been able to really grow the company at a different level when I wasn't bogged down with all of the details of the business and I could really work on the vision and where are we going and making those goals happen, talking to the employees more and really being able to put that vision to work and make it happen.
That is awesome. When you talk about doing the things, and I'm paraphrasing here, the things that you really enjoy doing, the things that you love to do, and no longer having the accounting responsibilities, but you certainly could jump in if necessary. But what you've learned to do as the owner and visionary of your company is really focus on what you do and love doing the most, correct?
Yes. And usually what happens is if you love doing it, you're most likely good at it. And then if you can do that and better and better and better, then I'm not a person that works on my, let's say, weaknesses as much because I could work on my weakness and, I get 5% better. Well, there's somebody else out there that is really good at my weakness. And if they worked and got 5% better, they'd be at, 90%. So I'm really working on how can I just get better at the areas that I'm already good at? And then that really makes a big difference.
That is an outstanding example of delegate and elevate. And I'm using words from EOS, but I love that because it just gives you so much freedom to do what you love doing the best. And you're much more successful. And as a result, you can elevate people on your team. Is this something that you teach and share with the rest of the leadership team?
Yes, I do. Actually, I make them do this very tedious task of tracking everything they do for 2 solid weeks. I mean, in every 15-minute increments. And then they have to go back and look at what filled them up, what was a neutral thing, and what drained them. And then work on delegating all of the things that drained them. And why that's very important is because they're probably not good at the things that drain them, so they're not doing as good of a job as somebody else could do. Some of those things that drain them, somebody else is probably really good at it and it actually fills them up. So then it divides out the work better. And it also helps in when you're really working on things that drain you, affects your health. So I 13 years ago got cancer. I think because I worked on a lot of things that I shouldn't have been working on and too much stress. And then actually 4 years ago, I guess I didn't learn from the cancer situation. I lost my whole immune system 4 years ago and have been very sick. And I'm healthy now, but now I really, really pay attention to the things that drain me because I understand how important that is not to do those things.
Well, I know I speak for everybody listening and for all those who work for and around you. We wish you the best of health, and you look and sound great. So I would
Thank
not have known the
you. Yes,
difference.
I'm
Yeah.
back. I'm
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I'm back in a better way because I'm back in like a way that's healthier.
Good. That's great to hear. And thank goodness. That's great news. So, you got a great background. You said you were 27 years as CFO. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, so I've been 25 years in accounting, and then I've been at Rieke for 27 years. So I did the accounting for probably 20 of those years. But then what happened was I really just took on everything. I was the accountant, was the sales manager, I was the president, I was, talk about putting a lot of pressure on one person wearing all those hats, thinking we didn't have the money to be able to delegate those things. And actually, it's the best money I've ever spent. So now that I have a great executive team, I have somebody in charge of sales, somebody in charge of accounting, somebody in charge of operations, and I'm in charge of the vision. We make more money now than we ever did in the past when I was doing it all by myself. I make more money now and pay all those salaries because we have the right people in the right places. And we've also implemented EOS, which has made a very big difference on keeping us focused on what really matters.
And I would assume the sky is the limit at this point, where you're going, what you've built for a structure, an infrastructure for your business since you took over as owner. What year did you buy the company? 2019?
2019, yes.
Yes.
Right
And
before
so,
COVID.
yeah, good timing. And then, you had the bird's eye view from an accounting perspective, obviously, before
Yes.
making the decision to make the purchase of the company. So where you bought the company and where you are today, you were talking about phenomenal success. Is it more than doubled in terms of volume or size or revenue? Help us understand what
I
you've
would
done.
say I would say in profit, we're double for sure. We've been able to, the sales are not double, but I would say the sales
Right,
are probably 40 to
right.
50% more. But we've also been able to be more efficient with what we have, being able to implement processes. It's very hard when you're only one person trying to do that. And when you can spread the wealth and everybody's in the right seats on the bus, you can put those processes into place and then it helps you scale and be more efficient.
I'm going off a little bit off my list of questions I had prepared for today because you got such a great story to share and you're already doing it. You told me earlier before we got on live here or on the recording, you shared that your CFO, correct me if I'm wrong, has helped to implement EOS. Is that correct?
Yes, for sure.
And so what year did you start implementing EOS as a team?
5 years ago. So actually, in 2020.
In 2020, you made the
Mhm.
plunge. When you were first approached about EOS, what came to mind at that time? Did you feel like maybe this is kind of like flavor of the month, or perhaps you didn't understand it, so, convince you? Help me understand where your head was at that time, because obviously 20.
So I'm a type of person who always like hires coaches. So I'm always like, oh, what can I learn from this person and what can I learn from this person? And I hired a coach. And the first thing he said to me, he handed me the book and he's like, read this and implement it. And I was like, okay. And he's very successful. So I was like, well, I better listen to him because he's very successful. And after reading it and then buying it for my whole executive team, and then my CFO, who just he just dove right into it. And he was like, okay, here we go. And this is what it can do. And this is, and I can't believe the difference in our company. And I'm not a person who really likes structure. I'm just like, I fly by the seat of my pants. I'm a daredevil. I'm, a risk taker. But being able, and we would try, oh, we're going to do 50 things this year. And then how many of those 50 things did we complete all the way to the end? None. On for, like hardly anything. But because EOS really just keeps you focused on what actually really matters, we've been able to pull off all of our what they call rocks for the year. They're really goals that you can focus and then finish all of those. And then, wow, does that take your business to a way better level than trying to do 50 things?
Like you, I came from an environment where we self-implemented. It was a total disaster. We couldn't even spell EOS. Once we got a little bit of our vision came to light with some money and we said, hey, we can afford to hire an implementer. That's when things started to transform for our business. Help me understand your current meetings, if you will, your leadership team meetings. Are you following the level 10 agenda for each and every week you have a meeting?
Yes, for sure. Actually, just before this, we just finished our 2-hour weekly meeting that we have, and we already have our 2-day scheduled for next year, our 2-day offsite scheduled for next year. And what's really cool about that, I'll give you an example. To be able to stay on track with that, I mean, I know but you have to put in your
Yes.
to do that you're going to finish by the next week. And when you really stay on top of that, I'll give you an example. I didn't put something that I'm working on there. I didn't put it out as a to do in the weekly level 10. And I kept putting it off and kept putting it off. I kept putting other things in place. And 2 weeks ago, I was like, that's it. I'm going to put this on there for the week. And then I got it done. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have just put it on there earlier because nobody wants to show up to the meeting with their item not done. So it automatically does accountability without you having to push accountability. It does it all by itself.
I've said many, many times having a single business operating system in place doesn't matter who you are, where you came from, what's your level of experience, doesn't matter if you're male, female, black, white, all these differences in all of us, right? Doesn't matter. When you have a single operating system, it provides clarity, and to the word you just used, accountability. It establishes behavior like discipline, and you have expectations now being fulfilled as a result. People come prepared, they understand the expectations, and a team like yours is producing at a very, very high level as you're sharing with the team today.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So let's
Yeah, but
talk.
it does take an implementer. You like if it was me implementing it, we would not be that. We would not. Also, if you do not have anybody on your team
Right.
that can actually do the implementation and, what I say, herding cats, because we're all over the place, the implementer is really important.
I couldn't agree with you more. And having that experience myself, where once we hired the implementer, it just changed everything. And I personally fell in love with the business of EOS. And I met folks from EOS coincidentally at the same time we started working with an implementer. One thing led to another, and here I am today and having a blast doing it. So let's kind of move on into more about your business. Culture and workspace are deeply connected. When you walk into a company for the first time, what clues tell you whether the environment supports or hinders performance?
Smiles on people's faces. You can actually feel the energy when you go into a space that the employees are happy or the employees are mad and you can see it. It's written on their faces. You can hear it in their language. You can just see how comfortable they are. So it's very important to us. We don't do design for just our designs. What we do is pull out of you, how do you want your employees to feel? How do you want your customers to feel? What collaboration do you want to do? What flow do you want to have? What bonding to your company do you want to have? And then we pull that out and we match your space to whatever you're looking for. And you can really tell the difference if you're like, oh, I'm talking this way, but my space doesn't match what I say. It feels disingenuine. It's something that people can feel for sure.
So your newest innovation is ROI Edge. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
And this gives companies insight into what their employees need to perform at a high level. So, what inspired that idea and what patterns have you seen in the results thus far?
So that is where we actually take the culture index, for instance, and we envelop that into the design. So let me give you an example. So let's say you're at an engineering firm.
Hmm.
You know, all engineers are not the same just because they're engineers. You're going to have an engineer that is more social, than you are, than other people. So if I were to look at that and do the culture index of those, let's say you had 10 engineers and one of them is more social, I'm going to place that person near the hallway. The person that's the least social, I'm going to put them as far into the corner as possible to give them the most quiet and the most uninterrupted space that they can have. So we really try to put the people not just in the right place figuratively, also physically in the right place.
What do you do? What do you do with the social person who enjoys being social, but when it comes to work, wants quiet space?
Yeah. So, well, COVID's kind of helped with that because sometimes people just work at home for that. But
Right.
we have what we call heads down space. And those are like little rooms that people can go into and just be able to get your work done and not be distracted. Because that is very hard for social people. They're people. Oh, I'm just going to be talking to the people.
I'd gone from working remote back to an office, and for like the first 3 months, it was such an adjustment with all the interruptions, all the interaction, which were all great. But at the same time, it was exhausting because I couldn't get to all the stuff that I felt was a priority to get done for whether it was the hour, the day, whatever. And it was a big adjustment going from remote back to an office, all that aside. All right. So, we talked a little bit about ROI Edge. Help me understand, many leaders struggle to create spaces where their people feel engaged, supported, and able to work at their best. Where do they go wrong?
Where do they go wrong? Well, they don't ask the employees. A lot of times they just assume they know what they need. And a lot of times leaders they're not down in the weeds. They shouldn't be down in the weeds. So they don't really know what's happening on a day to day. They don't know how the flow should go. So we actually have just implemented a new thing, which is a survey that we give out to employees called the Work Pulse survey. And what that does is really just measure, how are they feeling? How comfortable are they feeling? Are they feeling like this is a great place to work? Am I being able to collaborate? Am I being able to do my best work? And that has really been able to help quantify 6 different areas that will really help a leader be able to know, oh, where do I need to concentrate? It basically gives you an answer back in red, yellow, or green. So if you're green, you're good. Yellow, ooh, I better look at it a little bit. But if you're in the red, that's where you really need to concentrate and figure out what is happening and not just, oh, I think it's this. Really get the real answers from the real people sitting in the seats.
So you've gone an incredible journey, starting in accounting and then evolving to president and owner of your company. What's the biggest leadership lesson that experience has taught you?
I would say baby steps. Consistent baby steps. A lot of times we're all looking for that magic diet pill or that magic, one product that's going to bring us all the
Yes.
profit So it's a continual improvement process. You're never there. You're like, "Oh, I made this success." Well, times are changing. You can never just say, "Oh, I made my success," and stay there. You need continual improvement process. And those baby steps that you can do every day consistently is really what's going to take you far, not just one big push. Okay, I'm done. No, you're not done. Now you need what's new, what's happening. I mean, especially right now with the whole AI that's happening, it's not going anywhere. So we might as well jump on the bandwagon and figure out, how it can help us.
Which is a perfect segue to my next question. And when you think about the future of the workplace, what shifts do you believe companies are not preparing for fast enough?
Oh, let's see here. Well, definitely AI. I mean, like, I don't even think you could prepare fast enough. It's happening at such a, amazing rate. But I would definitely also think just about your employees, at least in my company, even though I have a manufacturing company. So you would think that, my machines are my assets. No, my employees are my assets. And how can I utilize them to really get where we need to go? Because we always want to be a relationship based company and that takes people. So, yes, do I want to use AI to be able to help me with this, this, and this? But the people are not going away because people want people. They want to belong. They want, we are a social culture environment. So,
Outstanding. Rieke has changed. Well, let me say this. Let me get you out of here on this last question. Your company's changed and innovated many times under your leadership. What advice would you give to leaders who want to evolve but feel stuck in their current model?
yeah. Well, first of all, take risks. I mean, you just have to try something. Be okay with failure. Every idea you have is not going to hit it out of the park. But if you just stay stuck in your old ways, you're not going to be here. I use the example, and I don't know if it's nice or not, but okay, Blockbuster. Who's Blockbuster now? Like, our kids don't even know who Blockbuster is. They didn't stay with the times, and they were one of the biggest companies back when I was, in college, and they just didn't stay with the times. So, not to scare people, but you definitely have to constantly be looking at your company and how can I get a little better? How can I get more efficient? What else can I offer my customers? I mean, we started out as a used office furniture company 30 years ago, then refurbished, then manufacturing, then custom, then flooring, then full interior design. And now we're doing window treatments and accessories. And now I'm even taking it one step further and talking to my customers about personal fulfillment for their employees because, okay, you have this beautiful, wonderful space. Now, what do? There's always something new to do. And you just have to make it happen. And again, back to the baby steps. You don't need a perfect plan, but you do need to start making some changes.
That's an amazing business model that you created where you not only do the manufacturing of goods that you produce for offices and office interiors, but you now get into the psychographic, if I may, and help people to manage their businesses more effectively. And with these tools that you've developed, it's a fascinating story. Melissa, this has been an outstanding conversation. I am a huge fan now. This has been
Thank
great.
you.
You have shown how innovation, culture, and intentional leadership can transform the way people work and the way companies grow. Your approach gives leaders a clearer understanding of how to create environments where their people can perform at a high level. I will tell you, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking to you. I'd come work for you in a heartbeat. You would be
Yay!
you would be an outstanding leader. Yeah, you are fantastic. So for our listeners who want to learn more, you can visit Rieke.com, connect with Melissa on LinkedIn, and watch for the launch of her Escalate podcast. Thank you for joining me today, and thanks to everyone listening for being part of the Growth Ceilings community. Until next time, keep growing, keep leading, and keep breaking through. Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been watching the Growth Ceilings podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's ready to grow.